Hello and welcome to the presentation on developing secure applications on the Force.com platform and publishing them on the AppExchange. Just as a reminder, this is a second in a series of 3 webinars focused on building applications on Force.com and listing them on the AppExchange marketplace. We're going to break up today's discussion into 2 parts. First, we're going to talk about the Force.com Secure Cloud Development Initiative. This will help you understand the free resources available for you to develop applications that are either on the Force.com platform or tightly integrate with Force.com. Secondly, we're going to discuss the AppExchange Security Review Process in greater detail, which will help you understand the scope, the review process, as well as the outcome. Before we dive into the details about this whole security review process, it's very important to understand the philosophy behind Salesforce.com's investment heavily into security. We believe that the success of cloud computing is dependent on earning and maintaining customer trust. And as such, there's nothing more important to Salesforce.com than the privacy of our customer data. In line with that, it's also our philosophy to ensure that the community of developers and partners building applications on the Force.com platform also value trust as a priority. We understand that not everybody has the resources to invest heavily into security. As a result, we have attempted to provide you free educational resources, tools, and processes that will help deliver trusted Force.com applications to our joint customers. Finally, we also want to help you reduce your overall development costs. The National Institute of Standard and Technology has estimated that eliminating vulnerabilities in the design phase and appropriately designing secure applications can cost 30 times less than fixing them on a retroactive basis post-release. So the way we framed our resources that were provided to you are following the software development lifecycle, which begins with education, design, development, testing, and finally release. And we believe security needs to be a core component of each of these phases. So we're first going to talk about the educational resources available to you. Our Introduction to Force.com Security white paper talks about various security controls available to org administrators to ensure that they have the flexibility in order to secure the application. It includes things like the sharing model, field level security, creating profiles, among other things. Secondly, we also provide a developer training. It is a recorded 75-minute on-demand training that is available to developers who are writing Apex and Visual Force code. It primarily talks about the standard web application vulnerabilities and how you can protect against them while developing applications on the Force.com platform. We also have a developer quiz which helps you assess your security awareness. It can be taken before or after the developer training. And it's basically 10 multiple choice questions with increasing difficulty. And it helps you identify bugs within code and really understand how you can test your applications for vulnerabilities when you get to start developing on the platform. The quiz can be accessed from the Secure Cloud Development homepage. Upon entering basic registration information, you will receive an email which contains a link to the quiz. The quiz has 10 multiple choice questions which include code snippets. As you can see in this question, there's some Visual Force code along with referencing Apex code. This is a multi-select question. Once you select the right answer choices, you would hit submit and move to the next question. Upon completion of the quiz, you will receive a score which would tell you how you performed on the quiz. We provide you a number of resources to assist during the design phases. First of all, we provide a number of articles and white papers on common topics like SAML, sharing, OAuth, single sign-on, and other things. If you have a specific application architecture in mind, you can also use our security self-assessment tool. That tool Upon answering a few questions on the application architecture, we'll provide you with a customized report that contains links to security articles and resources specific to the application architecture that you have in mind. This report can be used through the entire design and development phases to ensure you are providing adequate coverage to protect against common vulnerabilities. Finally, we also provide you free office hours twice a week. There are 60-minute slots where you can receive advice from an expert on the Salesforce security team. This can be anywhere from architecture-related questions to specific development or testing questions relating to security. Let's look at how you can leverage the self-assessment tool. The self-assessment tool can be accessed directly from the Secure Cloud Development homepage. Once you get started, it'll ask you basic architecture questions about the intended applications. Let's answer a few of these questions. So let's assume that the application does not run outside of Salesforce. It has some Force.com technologies, which include Apex classes. Give it some time to load. Say it includes some web services as well as Visualforce. No custom controllers. Has no S controls. And let's assume it has some client components that will save SFDC credentials outside of Force.com. And it has some flex. As you'll notice, within a couple of minutes of answering questions, I have a detailed report that tells me about certain application areas and the vulnerabilities that I need to be aware of while developing an application of this nature. You can then take this report and use it through the entire development lifecycle to make sure that your application is free of security vulnerabilities. Once you've understood the application you want to develop and integrate with Salesforce.com and are ready to move into the development phase, we have a number of resources available for you. We have secure coding guidelines, which are platform-specific recommendations on mitigating security vulnerabilities, such as cross-site scripting, injection, session management, cross-site request forgery, storing sensitive data, among other things. Not only do these guidelines provide you resources on Force.com, but they also provide you mitigating recommendations for other common platforms that you might be integrating your Force.com applications with. These include Java, .NET, PHP, and Ruby on Rails. Additionally, we also have something known as the Secure Coding Library, which is open source code for implementing security features such as CRUD and field level security, input validation, and output encoding. This is really easy to use. You can just drag and drop code out of this source code library into your development environment, customize it as needed, and deploy it as part of your application. This initiative is part of the OWASP Enterprise Security API. Let's look at an example of a secure coding guideline. Salesforce.com has provided a number of secure coding guidelines based on common web application security vulnerabilities. As you can see, there's 9 different areas, and we keep expanding on them as and when we feel necessary. For this example, let's take a look at the cross-site scripting secure coding guideline. Each secure coding guideline has details on what the vulnerability is, a sample of the vulnerability, how your application can be tested for it, and how you can protect your application against that vulnerability. As you can see, we not only provide guidelines on protecting against cross-site scripting on Apex and Visualforce applications, but also in other common platforms that our app partners are developing with, such as ASP.NET, Java, PHP, and Ruby on Rails. We have a number of resources available for you when you're in your final testing stages. First of all, in partnership with Checkmarks, we have developed a static source code analysis tool that will help you identify vulnerabilities within your Apex and Visualforce code. This is extremely easy to use, and we'll be taking a look at it. but all you have to do is provide your username, and in the background we run a source code analysis and provide you a report in an email. If your application also includes integration with web services that are running on servers outside of Force.com, you're entitled to receive a free license for Burp Suite Professional. This is a black box penetration testing tool which helps you automate a lot of your security testing. Let's take a look at how you can request these scans and what the outputs of these tools look like. The Force.com Security Source Scanner is extremely easy to use. All that is required is that you enter the username of the Salesforce org where the code was developed, and you select the scan type, whether you would like to run security rules, code quality rules, or all rules. Once you've entered this and submitted the information to us, your application gets queued for review. Depending on the queue size, it could take anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours before you receive a report in an email. The report looks something like this, where it gives you an overall summary of the problems in a nice graphical way. Further below, it tells you each vulnerability found, the number of instances of it, and the severity of the vulnerability. If we keep digging deeper into the report, you will notice that it tells you details about the vulnerability found, examples of it, and potential ways to mitigate that vulnerability. The best part about this scanner is that it tells you the exact class name where the issue was found, down to the line number where the bug was identified. What that means as a developer is you can go back into your code, you know exactly what class and line number to go to and how to address the vulnerability. Now let's go back and look at how you can run the web application scanner in case you have an application that has external web servers outside of Force.com. So going back to our secure cloud development homepage, you can go and request for a license for the web application security scanner. If you want further training on running the tool, it is highly recommended that you view the 15-minute video tutorial on running Burp Suite Professional. I'm going to show you what a report from a Burp Suite scan looks like. Again, it contains the vulnerabilities identified down to the URLs where it was found, and if you click on the URL, it actually gives you the entire request response, the issue that was found, and it highlights the bug where and how it was found. Again, this tool will help you find vulnerabilities in your web applications that are outside of Force.com. Using a combination of the two tools that we just saw should provide you adequate coverage to ensure that your application is securely designed. Once you've completed your development and testing and you're ready to release an application in the AppExchange, you have to go through a Salesforce.com security review process. We're going to talk about this in greater detail in a couple of minutes. We will also soon be releasing an incident response program, which is going to provide you guidance on engaging with customers and with Salesforce.com in case of a security incident. Let's go into the second part of our discussion today, which is more about the AppExchange security process. The goal behind this process is to assess the security posture of applications that you as partners are developing or integrating with Force.com. It's modeled after the standard OWASP top 10 vulnerability list, and we're looking for things like cross-site scripting, any injection flaws, broken authentication or session management schemes, insufficient authorization, insecure cryptographic storage, among other things. All these details are outlined on our security review page, which can be linked directly from the Secure Cloud Development homepage. As a partner, you want to go through a few different steps during this process. In the preparation phase, you want to make sure you've reviewed the requirements checklist that outlines in detail what we'll be looking for in your application during a review process. Hopefully by this time, you've already run your internal testing tools that we provided you, things like the Force.com code scanner for Apex and Visualforce, and the Burp Suite professional license for servers that are running outside of Force.com. You also want to ensure that any issues that are identified during this testing must be addressed prior to submission. This will ensure that you go through smoothly during the testing phase when Salesforce is testing your application. If you have any challenges, you can use the secure cloud development resources such as secure coding guidelines, or sign up for office hours to discuss with a Salesforce security professional. In the next step, you want to upload the package to AppExchange and click Start Review. This triggers the review process in the back end, which notifies us that you're ready for your security review. Shortly after, we will contact you to complete an appropriate security questionnaire and provide payment information. At this point, you will also be required to provision us with test accounts for Salesforce and any external integrations or applications outside of Salesforce. It's best that you ensure that you provide us with a representative environment of a customer setup and the highest privileged account, typically an administrative level. We may also ask you to submit final reports of the scans you ran internally during step 1 of this process. Once all this is submitted to Salesforce, our team will start evaluating the security of your application. Upon completion of review, we will get back to you with your review results. If no issues are found, you will receive a full approval and you'll be able to directly list your application on the AppExchange. If any low, medium, or high risk issues are found, you may receive a provisional approval or a fail. A provisional approval allows you to list your application on the AppExchange contingent to you addressing issues within a fixed amount of time. A fail means more serious issues were identified and you're not allowed to list your application on the AppExchange until they're addressed. In both of these cases, you want to review the results provided by Salesforce, conduct an internal evaluation to identify other vulnerabilities similar to what we had found. You want to remedy those issues and retest your application internally using the tools we've been providing you. Finally, you want to resubmit your application for review from the partner portal and include test reports from the internally run scans. This will ensure that your request is expedited. Finally, even once you pass the security review process and are listed on the AppExchange, you want to ensure that you establish a continuous security program. This is critical because the Salesforce security review process is periodic and your application will be reviewed anywhere between every 6 months to once every 2 years. You don't want to be in a situation where you pass the review, after which you make some modifications to your application, and when reviewed the next time around, your application fails. In order to avoid that, you should monitor the requirements checklist for updates. It's also highly recommended that you follow Secure Cloud Dev handle on Twitter. This is where we post updates to our requirements checklist as well as other interesting security updates. For every release of your application, you should run the self-service tools provided to you. If any issues are found, they should immediately be addressed. Just to give you an idea of the tools that we use, there's a number of different tools for web application scanning like AppScan, WebInspect, Acunetics, Burp. Network scanning, we have Qualys, Nessus, and Encircle. And for source code analysis, we have the Checkmarks source code analysis tool, as well as some internally developed scripts and tools. It does not mean that we will run all these tools against your application. We may run one or a combination of these tools as deemed necessary. If you have any questions about the security review process, you can log a case in the partner portal, or alternatively sign up for an office hours slot from the Secure Cloud Development homepage. To get to the Secure Cloud Development homepage, you need to go to developer.force.com/security. Thank you for your time. Also be sure to attend one of your other sessions that talk about building and packaging your application, as well as creating and publishing your listing.